Hey guys, hope everyone's doing good today. Got a quick little video for you, little cable sleeving trick I've just learned. I'm sure it's not the newest and the hottest thing out there, and other people might have done it better, but it's a product that I found on Amazon for very inexpensive that you can sleeve your cables with. That might be a little bit harder to sleeve. It's definitely made a nice little impact on this case. This is my wife's gaming rig, and if you look here, these are the cables for her AIO. This is the NZXT Z73. These cables come in black. Before they were kind of, they were black and all over the place, and I had tried using some Velcro straps to gather them together right here and tuck them out of the way. It just didn't really look all that great. Now, granted, I'm not done with this. I'm going to go back and do it again. I just kind of did a quick down and dirty version of it just to test it, just trying out these products here. But what I'm using is this sleeving from Amazon, and I'll put a link down in the description. But if you notice, when you pull it like that, it widens out, and then you let it go and it kind of gets skinnier. And if you pull on it, it gets even skinnier too. And the ends of it, you can take a torch or a lighter and burn them to make them where they don't fray. But the easiest trick that I have found is actually using some Velcro straps that come with pretty much everything. You can cut them to size, which I recommend doing. That way you don't have a whole, bunch of stuff when you roll them up like this. You just got one little thin layer. This is kind of what it can look like after. You can bring it down like that, but I'm just going to show you undoing this, what it looks like underneath. I'm trying to do this one-handed. So that's what it looks like when you cut it. So obviously either using some heat shrink tubing, which I've got on the way, it just arrived really late, but bringing this together like that, it just makes it look so much better. I'll kind of undo this for a minute. And so here you go. That's kind of what you'll have hanging out inside your case on some of these connectors. Like those connectors looked like this before almost. It was kind of like that. This isn't the exact cable, but imagine having, those dangling inside your computer. That looks better. Grouping them all together. So this is the USB 3 front panel connector. I sleeved it. I'm gonna use some thinner cable. Like I said, I'm experimenting with the different sizes and just testing things out. I'm also gonna sleeve that cable up there and that one. Those are for the fan connectors. I'm thinking about sleeving the AIO tubing. I haven't really decided yet. I'm gonna have to get a little creative with sleeving that. But people always want to, say like cable management's so hard and this, that, and the other. It's not hard. You just need to get creative, and you really need to just have fun. Find products that make life easier, like, cable ties are fine, like little zip ties and stuff. But Velcro straps can be your friend. You can buy a big roll of them on Amazon for really cheap, and then you can cut them to size. So when you're doing something like this, you can use those instead of zip ties, because zip ties just look ugly and cheap and out of place. Things like this, these are called cable combs. You can buy these on various different websites, but they are little plastic things that grip your cables together and make them more even. So instead of having a whole bunch of blop 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 cables everywhere, just excuse the term, I don't really know of any other way to describe messy, out of place cables, but this just makes them look better. It cleans up the look a whole lot. Another trick is, see how it's a little red and black cable right here? This is a temperature sensor. Take a black Sharpie and color that in. I'm gonna actually color that in later and show you kind of a before and after, because when you're just glancing over the board, that red kind of sticks out. There's quite a few other little tricks and tips that I can give you for cable management, like cable extensions make a really big difference. You can get cable extensions on Amazon like these. These are all cable extensions. I got those very inexpensively, for like 15 bucks for a whole kit on Amazon. And just go for ones that have a really, really good gauge wire. Look at the specs of them. The thicker the wire, the better. It's going to be able to transfer more power, and it's just going to be a little bit probably more reliable in the long run. The ones that I trust the most are from Asia Horse. I've used a lot of Asia Horse products. I really like them. Another trick too is if you want to get really good cable management, find ways that you can route them behind places, like behind the board, or being able to like tuck them in places. Sorry, hit my finger on the fan. Like down here, there's really not a whole lot of options other than going down through these little ports down here. But a lot of people will run them through the sides and things like that, like little fan connectors, little fan wires here. Look on your case, see if you've got fan connectors on the bottom. If so, run them at the bottom. Try not to run anything on the side or the top unless you absolutely have to. Like that fan connector up there is for the AIO. That was the only option. The stuff at the bottom is like my USB connectors, and I think I got a fan connector down here connected to a hub, the audio connector, and then the power connector right there. But everything is ran below, so like when you're looking outside of the case, you really don't see it. And I've got the back panel off, so everything's highlighted so you can see it. And then up top, I've got the fan connector and the power connectors for the motherboard ran up here. Now the AIO cables are not touching the fan, although it's not a good idea to run them this close, but I know my limits and this is the only way to run this. Unless I wanted to run the AIO on the other side, which I just didn't really like the way that looked. Other than that, guys, the cable sleeving is really, really a good option for anyone who needs to go over a wide connector to a short, skinny cable. Because that was the problem with these. These connectors were kind of at an angle, so squeezing heat shrink tubing over these was impossible because the heat shrink tubing needed to make that bend and it would just rip in half, or it wouldn't stretch over enough. Same with this, it's got a really wide connector on it. That wide connector just wouldn't fit through heat shrink tubing. Now I'm sure I could find some heat shrink tubing big enough to fit those, but I kind of like the braided cable better because it kind of matches the rest of the look, that kind of mesh cable. But like I said, I'm going to go back through it and play around with it. It's always an art of seeking perfection with modding cases and doing cable sleeving and just different things. This is just entry level, stuff right here. This isn't, next top tier level stuff like taking apart the cables, depinning them and sleeving them. This is something that you can do at home with not a lot of skill. This is something that you can order on Amazon. I've also got some smaller holes right here, and this widens out. I think I used the smaller one up there for those, and then the bigger one for the USB connector. Alright guys, hope everyone's doing well. If you have any suggestions for adding a little bit of white to this case, because I'm still looking just to add a little bit more white touches to it. I really can't decide if I'm going to go with the white sleeved connectors or not. I think I'm going to try it and see how it goes. I'm going to have to get creative because these are attached, so I just don't really have an idea yet, but I do know I'm going to do that fan connector up there for sure, and I might do the power connector. I really, like I said, just haven't made up my mind just yet. Alright guys, hope you all are having a good day, and if you got any questions, leave them below.